Hey guys, if you've begged and pleaded after a breakup and you're wondering, is it too late to turn it around? Look, I'll probably say this, if you're asking that question, you probably already know that you didn't show up in the best way. Maybe you're not proud of how you handled the breakup or the weeks or months leading up to it. And you might feel like you're grasping or desperate, and maybe even a little bit humiliated, we can feel. So the thing is, if you're wondering how did you completely blow it and is there a way back from this, I don't want to sugarcoat it because look, begging or pleading, the really long messages or late night voice notes or showing up at someone's work or house unannounced is usually just going to push them further away. Because what a lot of us, I think, miss in the moment, when somebody leaves, they're already overwhelmed, and begging them back usually piles on more of that emotional pressure because you're asking them to regulate your pain when they're probably not holding themselves together that well. Now, I'm not saying this to shame you, just to make something really clear. You acted from pain, you probably acted from fear, and it doesn't make you weak or broken or even hopeless, it just makes you human. But I think the confusing bit is that turning it around isn't about crafting the perfect apology or proving that you're worthy of another shot. It's about understanding, what got you here and why those desperate actions were never going to bring your ex-partner back, closer. And so why begging doesn't work. I suppose when a relationship ends, there's almost always a power shift. The person leaving has been thinking about leaving for a while. So they've mentally prepared. So they've checked out emotionally. So when they finally say, look, I'm done, they're way ahead of you. And meanwhile, you're probably only realizing how serious this is. And that's why so many men will panic. It's not always love. It's the shock. It's the fear of loss, that sudden, I guess, the quiet, the emptiness. And the panic creates this tidal wave of text messages or phone calls, promises, really big declarations, sometimes even threats, and you think you're fighting for love, but to your partner, it just looks like emotional chaos. She's not hearing I love you, she's hearing I'm not okay without you. And that's just not the same thing. One comes from strength and the other comes from fear. So is it too late? Not necessarily, but you got to understand what happens now matters more than what happened in say the last few weeks. If your partner saw the worst version of you, needy, dysregulated, just grasping at straws, and that doesn't have to be the full story, but only if you stop reinforcing that version. And this here where most guys go wrong. They think that more words will fix it, and they think that silence or no contact is going to make her forget. Or they might think that grand gestures are going to override any damage. Couldn't be further from the truth. It's all wrong. What works now isn't proving anything. It's becoming something different. It's showing, not saying that you're no longer in that anxious, reactive state, that you've returned to your center and that you're capable of self-respect, boundaries, and emotional regulation. Not for her, but for you. Because if you want her to see a version of you that she could trust again, you've got to live it first. The turning point moment that most women don't reconsider because of one big message or one breakthrough conversation. They reconsider when they feel different around you, when being around you no longer feels heavy or pressured, and when it feels safe. And that doesn't happen when you're trying to rush the outcome or secretly hoping that your partner's going to give you a signal that you can go back to pouring it all out again. It happens when she senses you've let go of control, when she sees that you've taken responsibility, not just for the relationship, but for your own healing as well. Because it's calm, it's grounded, and that's what's masculine as well. And that guy, that version of you, that can be magnetic to her. So look, if you pleaded or begged or wrote a letter, sent flowers, whatever, even if you cried and promised you'd do anything to fix it, let's just, I guess, be honest for a moment. You're not broken, you're human. But of course, those actions didn't come from strength, it comes from panic. But now that you're not in that emotional tailspin, you've got a decision to make. You can keep playing that panic tape on loop, on repeat, or you can shift gears and stop being reactive and focus on a strategy, because it doesn't necessarily mean it's too late, but it will stay too late if you don't understand what's going on underneath the surface. And here's the thing, the brutal truth. When you beg, it doesn't tell her that I love you. Remember, it just tells her I can't cope without you. It's a very different message. So one sounds like love, the other one sounds like dependence. And so while love might be something that she can feel into again, dependence is almost always a turnoff. So before you can even think about whether it's too late to turn it around, you've got to take stock of your actions, I guess, and how they were received. Not because you meant them, but because it's what she heard from you. Your begging and pleading was, you're responsible for my emotional regulation and my identity and my ability to function. And then, you might have dug yourself a little bit deeper, but you can dig yourself out. And the only way to do that is to start to become the kind of person that doesn't need her to come back in order for you to be okay. And that's the paradox, right? The more okay you become without her, the more she starts to feel like maybe she could feel safe around you again. So look, I think most guys will misinterpret the whole safety piece. They think safety means not yelling or being violent or just being polite. But in emotional terms, safety means that you can handle her feelings without you making it about you. You can sit in the unknown without pressuring her to give you answers. And you've got your own internal compass. You don't need her to, you don't need your partner's approval for you to feel solid and grounded. So when you've begged and pleaded, you've most likely sent the opposite message. You've shown her that I'm not okay unless you tell me that I am. So how do you reverse it? Well, obviously not with more words, not with a PowerPoint presentation on how much you've changed, or one of your gratitude journals, not with another voicemail. But it starts with showing, not telling. You start rebuilding your sense of center. You start making peace with the idea that she may never come back, and then you just got to start working on be the man that she might have been drawn to in the first place, not the guy that you were when you're trying to claw her back like a month ago, just like a drowning man grabbing a life raft. Think about it for a second. If you sort of fell in the water, someone couldn't swim, you're panicking, and you're trying to grab on somebody else to stay afloat. You're not an evil person. It's not bad, but it's not attractive either. It's not safe, and it's certainly not grounded. Now compare that to a guy who knows how to swim. He's going to be calm and capable, and he doesn't need anyone else to stay above the water. So which guy do you reckon a woman would feel drawn to? The guy that's splashing around in panic, just trying to, inadvertently drown the people around him, or the one that's he's moving calmly through the water, knowing he's going to be okay either way. And this is where your work begins. You won't fix things by trying to prove you've changed. You fix them by actually changing. And that change isn't just go to therapy, read some books. It's about how you carry yourself. It's about what you do when she doesn't text back. It's about how you respond when she's cold or distant or even dating somebody else. It's how you rebuild your life without waiting for her validation. Let's talk about the pressure, because begging puts pressure on her whether you realize it or not. It says that I need you to give me another chance so I can feel better. And it says that you're the solution to my emotional pain. And it's kind of manipulative, not because you're meant it to be, but that's just how it lands. Instead, your energy, it needs to be pressure-free. No ultimatums, no timelines, wanting to know where you stand, or I'm doing all this and you're just not noticing. It's got to be steady and consistent growth with zero expectation from her. Now, she might notice, well, she might not, but that's kind of the point, because you're not changing so she comes back. You're changing so you stop being the kind of guy that needs to beg in the first place, because otherwise you'll repeat it in the next relationship anyway.